Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to Mirror. Now you're watching the Urban Debate with me, Aarti Subramaniam. Another round of talks and another inconclusive outcome. Farmer representatives and the union government met for the 8th time today to iron out their differences. But this meeting too ended with no breakthrough in sight. The centre has proposed another round of talks on January 8th as part of this dialogue process that began on the 14th of October, but has so far failed to end the farmer protests. Protests which are at Delhi's doorstep, protests that have been going on for 40 days now. Let's listen into what the farmers and the agriculture minister had to say after this meeting.
आज मीटिंग में ये हुई कि जो 3 बिल हैं उस पर बातचीत हुई और दोनों उसमें लंच से पहले और लंच के बाद में भी उसी में बातचीत हुई और फिर दोनों इशू पे एमएसपी और 3 कानून को वापसी लेने पे ये है कि उन्होंने सरकार ने कहा कि हम 8 तारीख में फिर हम बात करेंगे।
किसान यूनियन के साथ चर्चा हुई और भारत सरकार के 2 कानून नए और 1 संशोधन, ऐसे जो 3 कानूनों के बारे में चर्चा चलती है, उस पर हम लोग चाहते थे कि यूनियन क्लॉज वाइज चर्चा करें, जिससे कि उसमें से रास्ता निकालने में आगे बढ़ सके। इसी पर बात चलती रही। थोड़ा बहुत बात एमएसपी पर भी हुई, लेकिन आज हम कोई निर्णय तक नहीं पहुंच सके।
A glimmer of hope presented itself in the previous meeting after the centre conceded to 2 demands, that is, putting the electricity amendment bill on the back burner and decriminalizing stubble burning. But the crux of the issue, and here's where the matter is stuck, repealing the laws. So what is the way forward? Who will blink first? Who will climb down? Well, to discuss this and more, joining us this evening, Aarti Singh of the Congress, Anila Singh of the BJP, Deshrata Nigam, senior advocate, Pushpender Singh, who is the president of the Kisan Shakti Sangh, and Thakur Kiranpal Singh, who is the national senior vice president of the BKU. Kiranpal Singh ji, if I can start with you, please. अभी हमने सुना नरेंद्र सिंह तोमर को जिन्होंने कहा कि हम क्लॉज बाय क्लॉज डिस्कशन करना चाहते हैं इस बिल का, लेकिन फार्मर्स ग्रुप मना कर रहे हैं। आप क्यों कह रहे हैं कि क्लॉज बाय क्लॉज डिस्कशन नहीं हो सकता इस बिल पर? किरणपाल सिंह जी, अगर आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
देखिए, मैं पहले धन्यवाद दूंगा मिरर नावक और आपको कि आप कम से कम किसानों की बात तो कर रहे हैं। और बड़ी बड़ी मेरी आवाज आ रही है मैडम? मैं बोल रहा हूँ, मेरी आपकी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी सर, प्लीज कंटिन्यू, आपकी आवाज आ रही है।
हेलो, आपकी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ सर, आपकी आवाज आ रही है, प्लीज कंटिन्यू।
हेलो, हाँ जी, मैं बताऊंगा कि मुझे बड़ा हास्यप्रद हो रहा है। एक तो 33 दिन हो गए आज किसानों को इतनी ठंड में, बारिश में, और आज अपना घर द्वार परवाह छोड़ करके यहाँ पड़े हैं, और सरकार अपना तारीख पे तारीख इस रवैये पे आ रही है कि जो ये सोच रहे हैं कि सब किसान चले जाएं। अगर इतने दिन में किसान, देखिए, किसान अगर बात नहीं मानते तो इनसे बात करने नहीं जाते। किसान पूरे समझौते के लिए बैठे हुए हैं, परंतु सरकार अपने हेडरशाही पर आ गई है। मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा, अगर किसान नेताओं को नहीं मना पा रही है सरकार, तो इसका मतलब सरकार अपने कार्य में विफल है। हम चाहते हैं किसान आयोग का गठन किया जाए, हम चाहते हैं कि एमएसपी को कानून बना दिया जाए और अपने कानून। तो अगर किसान ये चाहता है, देखिए, सारे विद्वान, सारे राजनीतिक लोग जो भाजपा से संबंधित है, वो बोल रहे हैं कि किसान हित में है ये कानून। तो कोई भी विश्व में एक ऐसा आदमी ला दे कि जो हित में हो और उसके लिए मना करे। ये जितने किसान हैं, ये सब राजनीतिक रचे हुए नहीं है, ये देशद्रोही नहीं है। मेरा मिरर नाव के द्वारा सभी आप जितने भी सुन रहे हैं, सभी से कहना है, किसानों के साथ अन्याय न करें। किसानों ने सरकार बनाई है, किसानों की सुने और किसानों की माने। सरकार
किरणपाल
की
सिंह जी,
तानाशाही नहीं चलेगी।
किरणपाल
ये
सिंह
अब
जी, मैं
किसान
अपना
और
सवाल
सरकार
दोहराना
में
चाहती हूँ।
दोनों की तरफ से
किरणपाल सिंह जी, मैं अपना
युवक
सवाल
नहीं
दोहराना
है।
चाहती हूँ क्योंकि मैं आपको बहुत स्पेसिफिक सवाल पूछ रही हूँ। सरकार कह रही है हम क्लॉज बाय क्लॉज डिस्कशन करते हैं, आप ये क्यों इनकार कर रहे हैं, आप क्यों मना कर रहे हैं? क्या इस पूरे कानून में एक भी क्लॉज नहीं है जो फार्मर्स के हित में होगा?
देखिए, सरकार क्लोज बाय क्लोज बात करना चाहती तो समाधान पहले दिन ही निकल जाता। सरकार कहती कुछ है और वहां जब किसान नेता जाते हैं तो उनसे अपनी हिटलरशाही में कहती है कि सुनेंगे सबकी, करेंगे मन की। ये अब सरकार इस हिटलरशाही पर आ गई है, तो इसलिए ये जो असलियत है, असलियत ये है कि किसानों की बात हकीकत सुनी नहीं रहे।
Okay, Deshrata Nigam, let me take that to you now. It all boils down to two things: repealing the law and an MSP guarantee. Now, repealing the law, as we understand, is obviously a complicated process. There are legal implications, political implications. But as far as giving an MSP guarantee is concerned, as far as incorporating it into the bill or into the law to say that whoever produces or purchases the produce outside the mandi, they have to buy it at the minimum support price. What is the harm in incorporating this one clause? Because that is going to go a long way in reassuring the farmers.
Aarti, let me make it very clear that when you sit on a negotiating table, one has to be flexible. I, as a senior mediator, have handled a lot of complex mediations between multinationals and between, in fact, ordinary people as well. So, however, if one party sticks to a hardened stand and says my way or the highway, then talks are bound to fail. Let us be very, very clear on that. And when the government says we have taken 10 steps and even agreeing on the electricity aspect of it also, which in my opinion is a very big step because there the money was to be given directly to the farmers. And the stubble burning being decriminalized, which is actually against the principle the polluter pays, which is an international principle. But that also government seems to have accepted it. And then the written assurance about the MSP which the government is giving and which is existing since a very long time. Now to compel, private players to buy on MSP would be to in fact create a system where nobody will like to give money more than the MSP. So competition and demand and supply of the market will create a situation where if the supply is less, the farmers will get more, and if it is more supply is more, the farmers obviously would get a lesser price. We don't know at what price they will get. Contract farming is being given, land is being protected, traders are being registered, and appeal to civil court has also been agreed by the court, by the government. So this kind of attitude, I believe, is not a very good bargaining or negotiating position. And therefore, in my experience as a mediator, I have seen such kind of talks will always fail. And if farmers, the so-called farmer leaders who are coming on TV debates or they have so much support, then why don't you, test it in yourself in a parliament? You will have a session in next 6 months or so. Nothing, heavens are not going to fall. Test your strength in parliament. You will come to know who supports you and who doesn't support you and who abstains. And let me tell you, India's rural population is somewhere about 85 to 90 crores. And few thousand farmers sitting out here, there's a huge silent majority which is supporting this bill. And please remember, such kind of a hue and cry, it's okay for politics. And I know the kind of people who are leading this. And I know the background of the leaders also. I do not wish to attack them personally out here, but I can certainly give the background if need be. Therefore, if you look on the merits, clause by clause discussion is a must. Why can't you discuss clause by clause?
Well, Mr.
You should repeal the laws.
Yes, Mr. Nigam, I take your point that it cannot be my way or the highway. I concede that there's no way to negotiate, but also I don't think it's fair to be casting aspersions on the concerns that have been raised by farmers to say that, they are being led in a certain way or they are being misled in a certain way. I think that's a bit unfair. Let me go to Pushpendra Singh, who's also joining us. Mr. Singh, ये जो आप कह रहे हैं, रिपील करो ना तो नहीं तो कुछ भी आगे बात नहीं हो पाएगी. ऐसे कानून ना ही रास्ते पे बनते हैं, ना ही रास्ते पे रिपील किया जाता है ऐसे. और ये पूरे कानून में, 3 कानून में एक दो चीजें जो होंगी जो आप सपोर्ट करते हैं, जो किसानों के हित में है, आप ऐसे कैसे कह सकते हो कि पूरा कानून चला जाना चाहिए? आपके 4 डिमांड थे, सरकार ने तो 2 एटलीस्ट मान ली। आप भी अभी थोड़ा जैसे बोलते हैं क्लाइंब डाउन, मिडिल ग्राउंड, देयर हैज टू बी सम मिडिल ग्राउंड इन दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन एज वेल।
नहीं, देखिए मैडम, ऐसा है कि 2 जो डिमांड मानी गई हैं, एक तो बिजली वाली जो डिमांड थी वो तो अभी ग्राउंड पे ही कानून नहीं बना था। दूसरा जो पराली वाली बात थी वो भी पहले ही सरकार की सहमति बन चुकी थी, तो वो तो 5-7% का क्वेश्चन था। जो 90 नंबर का क्वेश्चन हम बार बार कहते रहे हैं वो ये है कि एमएसपी को प्राइवेट सेक्टर के ऊपर भी मैंडेटरी आप बनाइए, उसके ऊपर कोई सरकार ने जवाब नहीं दिया है, जो इन तीनों कानूनों से इंडिपेंडेंट किया जा सकता था और एक गुडविल जेस्चर जो है क्रिएट हो सकता था। तीसरा जो 3 कानून के विषय में है, मैंने कंसिस्टेंटली पोजीशन ली है कि भैया ठीक है, आप कानून लाए हैं, कृषि में सुधार होना चाहिए था, लेकिन हमसे पूछ लेना चाहिए था। चलिए, आपने उस टाइम ना पूछा तो अब कम से कम आप इसको सस्पेंड करके, ये स्टे करके और इस पे एक कमेटी बना के इसका निर्णय और विस्तार से चर्चा करके इस पे निर्णय ले सकते हैं। अब मैं बात करना चाहता हूं, वैसे मैं तथ्यों से भटकता नहीं हूं, जो देश रतन निगम साहब ने बात कही है कि कुछ लोग बैठे हैं। देखिए, ये गलतफहमी अन्ना आंदोलन के समय भी सरकार को हो गई थी, कुछ लोग बैठे हैं, सारा देश हमारे साथ है, अगले चुनाव में 40-45 सीटें रह गई, तो इससे जो है रोष जो है। और आप रतन साहब, आप एक आंदोलन बता दीजिए जिसमें 40 दिन तक जो है बरसात में, ठंड में सड़कों पर लोग पड़े रहे हों इतनी बड़ी तादाद में। दिल्ली के मेरी याद में तो कोई आ नहीं रहा है। इससे पहले जो है एक 5-7-10 दिन के लिए बोट क्लब पर जरूर किसानों की रैली हुई थी, वरना कोई पक्ष किसानों को छोड़ करके सड़कों पे पड़ा रहा हो इतनी बड़ी संख्या में दिल्ली के आसपास, ऐसा मेरी याद में तो कोई आ नहीं रहा है। तो इसको छोटा आंदोलन आंकना, आज की तारीख में भी आबादी लगभग 60% किसान है और सारे देश के किसान की निगाह इस पर लगी हुई है, तो इसलिए आप इसको हल्के में ना करें, इसके ऊपर खालिस्तानी, पाकिस्तानी या एजेंडा ये सब ना करें। मध्य मार्ग एक निकाला जा सकता है, इसके लिए हमारी सहमति है, बातचीत होनी चाहिए।
मिस्टर सिंह, मैं वही आपको पूछ रही हूँ, मध्य मार्ग है क्या? रिपील के अलावा ये मध्य मार्ग क्या हो सकता है?
मध्य मार्ग ये हो सकता है कि तत्काल इन कानूनों को सस्पेंड करके कमेटी बना दी जाए जो इस पे निर्णय ले, पहली बात। और एमएसपी का कानून प्राइवेट सेक्टर में लागू करने की घोषणा सरकार अपनी तरफ से कर दे। ये दोनों काम करने से काफी बड़ा गुडविल जेस्चर जाएगा और कहीं ना कहीं किसानों को समझाया जा सकता है।
Okay, Anila Singh, what is the government strategy going forward here? What can you possibly do? There is the 8th round of talks that is happening. By the looks of it, there is no middle ground available at all. Is it just going to be keep talking until you wear them out? Because they're not going anywhere. It's been 40 days. They're still camped at the Delhi borders. Much like Shaheen Bagh, you had no answers. You had no options available to end the deadlock. In that case, as a result of coronavirus and not as a result of the government's negotiations or any reach out attempts, did that protest end. But in this case, what is your way out if you're not going to concede to some middle ground?
I think first of all, what I have observed is that there is no consensus in between the farmer leaders as well. Just now I heard Pushpinji said that there should be a middle path, and middle path is that you make a committee, suspend these laws, and then you can talk over and things can be decided. But we have seen that what farmer leaders are saying. They are saying that we don't want to discuss anything and you have to repeal these 3 laws. So we can see that there is not one voice when we talk about these 3 farm laws. And secondly, you are absolutely correct when you say that if you are not going to discuss point-wise all these 3 laws, then how you are going to confront the government? Just now Pushpinji said, एक हम रास्ता निकाल सकते हैं अगर पहले डिस्कशन हो जाता, पहले नहीं हुआ है तो अब कर लेते। तो पुष्पेन जी, अभी डिस्कशन करना तो चाह रही है ना सरकार यही तो कह रही है कि हम पॉइंट वाइज तीनों के तीनों फार्म लॉज को डिस्कस कर लेते हैं। उसके लिए जो लीडर्स हैं आपके तैयार नहीं हो रहे हैं। तो एक तरफ तो ये कहा जा रहा है कि सरकार जो है हमारे साथ डिस्कशन नहीं करना चाहती है। जब सरकार ये बोलती है ओके let us discuss point wise, and whatever problem you have got, we are going to discuss about that. Either you convince us or we are going to convince you. And on that, they are not ready. That the government has to repeal the laws, and we are not going to agree nothing less than that. So I mean, this is a very, I can say, an obstinate stand. That is not good. That is why this protest and agitation is prolonging. And secondly, if we talk about the MSP, thirdly, they are talking about the Kisan Forum. They want to make so. You have to think about what is your priority. You want to repeal these three farm laws, or your priority is about the MSP, or your priority is to make some Ayog or Commission of Kisans. They themselves are not coming to one conclusion.
I take
So,
your point.
when government says-
I need to go to the Congress spokesperson who's been waiting very patiently. Adil Singh, thank you so much. I appreciate you staying on with us. Are you fishing in troubled waters here, knowing fully well that laws can't be made or repealed on the streets? In fact, it is a UPA government which has enough experience in this department. Somebody also made a reference to Anna Hazare, the Lokpal Andolan. You were in the exact position here where you were asked repeatedly and you were coerced. There was a hunger fast going on, and yet the government went about it the right way, which is through parliament. Similarly, a law cannot be repealed just because there are protests on the street unless it's done in the right way.
Aarti, the Bharatiya Janata Party and the RSS is behaving like the East India Company during the British rule. I have not come across this kind of arrogance and obstinacy from any government since independence. I've been a student of history. Over 50 farmers have lost their lives. Does it matter to the BJP and the RSS while they sing speeches and paeans from the comfort of their Lutyens' Delhi bungalows using blowers and heaters? I must remind them that 50 farmers, 50 Indian citizens, 50 Annadatas of this country have lost their lives, compounded by zero temperature, low temperature, by difficult living conditions. It was pouring in Delhi 15 minutes back. There was lightning in Delhi.
Adil Singh, what is the Congress party's objection to the farm laws? I'm not talking about, we have representatives of the farmer organizations here. They put their put their point forward. The Congress party had also promised the same amendments to the APMC Act. They promised much of these same reforms. So I'm asking you very specifically, what is your party's objections, and are you fishing in troubled waters despite knowing fully well that these promises were made by you as well?
Well, I expected you not to interrupt me, but nevertheless, let me respond to you specifically that you're ignorant about the Congress Party manifesto. The Congress Party manifesto clearly said that we will create more regulated mandis, more markets. We never said we were going to create unregulated mandis, private mandis where there will be no monitoring, where the private parties can come and monopolize the agriculture marketing system. Now, if somebody cannot read the Congress Party manifesto, I'm not here to educate them. The Congress Party's point of view is very clear. These laws need to be repealed. Since you've asked me the specific objections, let me tell you the first objection, which perhaps none of your panelists would know. The premise of these laws is that we are going to give more freedom to the farmers to sell their produce. But little do these ignorant people know that under the existing APMC model, since I'm a son of a farmer already has the option of selling his produce to a private buyer. A private buyer can come to an APMC mandi, pay the mandi fee, and purchase their agriculture produce. So therefore, it's important to bust the first myth of the Bharatiya Janata Party. But coming to the core issue, and I again come back to my primary point, it is the arrogance of the Bharatiya Janata Party. They believe they can ride roughshod over this country. They believe that they can trample over people's rights and liberties. And you quite rightly pointed out to the Anna movement. Did the Congress Party label the Anna movement as anti-nationals?
Well, Adil Singh, I want to come in here. There were many comments made by members of the government then calling it a foreign hand. There was a foreign hand. They were propped up by the RSS. I'm sorry, but there were enough questions and aspersions that were cast even on the Anna Hazare movement by members of the UPA government.
It appears you made up your mind that you're not going to let me speak.
No, sir. I just think when you say something like that, it needs to be corrected. I'm giving you full opportunity to speak, and I'm then also going to give Anila Singh an opportunity to respond to what you're saying.
Did the Congress Party call Anna Hazare a terrorist? Did the Congress Party call the Anna movement Naxalites? Did we beat them up with lathi? Did we beat up senior citizens with lathis? And what are the farmers demanding? They're demanding their rights. 50 farmers have lost their lives. Does it matter to you? Does it matter to the BJP? 50 farmers. Please have some empathy, have some compassion. Political affiliations aside, these 50 people, these are 50 families, these are not just 50 statistics. Ask Mr. Nigam, he's a very dear friend of mine. Who's responsible for these loss of lives? The Prime Minister has all the time in the world to tweet, to have his Mann Ki Baats, but he can't speak to these farmers. You thrust a law in the middle of a pandemic. You suspend opposition MPs. You use the media to label them, discredit a popular protest, and then you put questions to the Congress party. The farmers are not going to accept this, madam. Nothing short of the repeal of the laws, and the Congress party fully supports the farmer movement. You want to call it politicking, you want to call it politicization, it is your option. You're most welcome to say what you want.
Okay, I'm going to have to give it an opportunity, but very briefly though, because I'm running out of time, both to Anila Singh and Deshratan Nigam, because I think it's only fair. Anila Singh, very briefly though, if you'd like to respond.
Absolutely. Mr. Adil, you keep this your emotional outburst for political rallies. Nobody is going to buy this. And we have seen that what Priyanka Vadra and Rahul Gandhi has to say about this protest. But they are not going to answer this thing that in majority of time they have been in power in the center, and more than 25 lakh of farmers, they committed suicide. And if I talk about Punjab, every day, like 2019, every day, 28 farmers committed suicide. Adilji, what is the answer? Is Captain Narendra going to answer about that, why these farmers were committing suicide? So let me talk about the Punjab. Punjab's average.
I didn't know the Congress party in Punjab put these laws.
Did I talk over you? It shows that
beating around the bush will not work. 6 years. With the aid of the pliable media, you deceived Indian citizens.
How many farmers they have given their
farmers are
lives
smart
to
enough to see
protest.
through
But the thing is, because of
and
your
their drama.
party, which was in center,
50 farmers have lost their lives. Answer on this.
You reduced
50 farmers.
Okay, if we talk over each other, honestly, no, Anila Singh and Adil, I'm sorry, but I need to step in here because both of you speaking over each other is not going to help any of our viewers. It certainly doesn't help me understand both of you speaking over each other. Anila Singh, first of all, please keep it very brief, and we're going to have to stick to the point because it is your party that is in power in the government. It is not the Congress party. It is not Rahul Gandhi.
No,
it is not Priyanka Gandhi.
You're absolutely correct, Aarti. We are in the power. And the discussion is in between the central government and the farmer leaders. This is what I am saying. Begani Shadi mein Abdullah Diwana. This is what Adil Ji's party is doing. And I openly challenge Mr. Adil or any of the person who says that these 3 farm laws are against the farmers. They are not.
Mr. Gadkari
they are absolutely not. Just by saying that they are against the farmer laws,
has said that MSP is the problem.
It is 8 months. It has been passed and Parliament passed it.
Mr. Gadkari said MSP is the problem. Read the newspaper, madam.
Rahul Gandhi ji is absconding from Parliament.
Okay, we're digressing. This is not a conversation about Rahul Gandhi's travels. This is not a conversation about Rahul Gandhi's travels. Deshratan Nigam, if you want to come in very quickly, I want to allow you because I want to go back to our representatives from farmers' unions. Deshratan Nigam, very briefly, if you would just like to respond to Adil since he did mention you.
See, the fact is, he did mention RSS, but not me by name. But the fact is, Congress is prone to taking RSS name even in their family get-togethers. And I don't want to get into it. See, the attacks on the cellular tower is a prime example as who are the people involved and what is being going on and who's in fact instigating them. Congress is known for its U-turns in manifesto, and difficulty with Congress is what they promised BJP is implementing, whether it was GST or any other thing. And any negotiation, let me tell you again, with the position of authority, with huge amount of experience, that negotiations can only be successful if both the parties are flexible. That's the bottom line. And that is where I rest my case.
Okay. पुष्पेंद्र सिंह, मैं आपको एक उदाहरण देना चाहती हूँ. सरकार ये कहती है, for example, that farmers have the choice. अगर आपको मंडी में बेचना है, आप बेच सकते हो. अगर आपको मंडी के बाहर बेचना चाहते हो, आप उधर भी कर सकते हो. Farmers have a choice. मैं आपको एक उदाहरण देना चाहती हूँ. इनकम टैक्स एक्ट के जब अमेंडमेंट हुए, there was a new regime, income tax regime, and there is an old regime. और लोग चुन सकते हैं कि उनको कौन से हिसाब से इनकम टैक्स भरना है, ओल्ड रेजिम के साथ या न्यू रेजिम के साथ. द पॉइंट वाज कि इट वाज अबाउट गिविंग पीपल अ चॉइस. Similarly, इस पर्टिकुलर लॉ में अगर फार्मर्स को ऑप्शन दिया जा रहा है कि आप ये चूज कर सकते हो या आप ये चूज कर सकते हो, अगर आपको लगता है कि ये डर है एमएसपी निकल जाएगा या आपको कॉर्पोरेट्स आपका फायदा उठाएंगे, तो आप एपीएमसी सिस्टम, आप मंडी सिस्टम में रह सकते हो। आपको इससे क्या एतराज है?
के माध्यम से मैं बहुत एक्ट लागू होता है और एमएसपी मिलती है, चाहे कागजों में ही मिलती है, लेकिन वहां पर एक व्यवस्था है। अब इन्होंने कहा है कि आपको बाहर बेचने का ऑप्शन भी हम दूसरा ऑप्शन दे रहे हैं, आप चाहे बाहर बेचें चाहे अंदर बेचें। हम कह रहे हैं कि बाहर भी आप एमएसपी की व्यवस्था कर दीजिए, क्योंकि अंदर जो ऑप्शन है, यानी पहली जो व्यवस्था है, उसके अंदर सारी फसलों की परचेज नहीं होती है। जो 23 फसलें हैं जिनकी क्रॉप्स की एमएसपी घोषित करते हैं, उसमें से केवल गेहूं और धान यानी वीट एंड पैडी इन्हीं की होती है। और दूसरा, आपके जो टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया है उसमें ये कल ही अगर आप देख सके, आप इसमें क्लियरली एक स्टोरी छपी है जिसमें लिखा है कि बिहार जंक्ड एपीएमसी एक्ट इन 2006 बट इट हैजंट बेनिफिटेड फार्मर्स, ओपन मार्केट्स हैवंट रिजल्टेड इन हायर प्राइसेस, डेटा शोज।
पुष्पेंद्र जी, केरला की बात कर लीजिए थोड़ा सा। पुष्पेंद्र जी, केरला की बात कर लीजिए।
अरे रुक जाइए, तो पूरी बात आप आने नहीं देते जब डेटा आने लगता है। तो 98-99 से लेकर के 2016-17 के 18 साल का इसमें डेटा दिया है। इसमें कहा है कि कंसिस्टेंटली बिहार में 20% तक एमएसपी से नीचे फसलों के रेट रहे हैं एज कंपेयर टू पंजाब, केवल एक साल को छोड़ करके। और पंजाब में केवल एक साल एमएसपी के आसपास रेट रहे हैं, बाकी सब सालों में ऊपर रहे हैं। तो जहां मंडी व्यवस्था मजबूत होती है और बाहर की व्यवस्था में से के कंपैरिजन में मंडी व्यवस्था ज्यादा अच्छा आपको रेट दे पा रही है। ये डेटा खुद, क्योंकि आप टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया ग्रुप से ही हैं, तो ये डेटा छपा है, कल ही छपा है, आप देख सकते हैं जी। अच्छा, केरला के बारे में
can I give me 10 seconds, Aarti ji?
I haven't got a chance to speak. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to go around the table very quickly. Pushpendra ji, बहुत ही, I'm sorry, we're short on time, so I'm going to come both
Just
to
give me
Desh.
10
Yes,
seconds.
sure. And then I'll come to Adil as well. Adil, I'll give you your opportunity to speak as well.
I'll give just one example of milk and dairy products being delicensed. India has become #1 producer of milk and the largest exporter of the milk and dairy products when they were delicensed from the government regime. Please understand, this is where the farming sector would also go once these laws are implemented.
Okay, Adil, very, very briefly, please. I am completely out of time.
I just want to make a 5-second comment.
Firstly, Aarti, under the APMC model, the farmers already have the choice of selling their produce to a private trader. That transaction takes place at an APMC mandi. It's important to bust BJP's propaganda, number one. Number two, what the BJP is seeking to implement is the Bihar model. And the data as far as the Bihar model is out in public domain. A Bihar farmer is one of the poorest in the country. The BJP wants to impose and thrust the Bihar model across the country. And lastly, it's quite evident from Mr. Nigam's piece that for them, geo towers matter more than human lives. So the Bharatiya Janata Party and the RSS, unfortunately, is beholden to the Ambanis and the Adanis and not to the people of this country. I urge them to exhibit some compassion. We are talking about human lives. We are talking about farmers. They are losing their lives in this weather, in this biting cold, in this pouring weather. Please find a solution to the satisfaction of the farmers urgently.
That's what everybody is saying. Let's find a solution quickly, because this cannot be. No. Anila Singh, I really do apologize, but I think that's an important note. This cannot be a prolonged negotiation, a protracted negotiation with no outcome. It's not a protest that is just going to fade away, that is going to peter out without an outcome. We need an outcome, and hopefully we need an outcome soon, which will be a compromise, a consensus on both sides. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking to us on Urban Debate.